welcome to today's meditation time. I would invite you just to allow your body to connect to the spot where you have settled. Connect physically. Maybe you need to look around and just kind of get a sensation of what all is going on around you. And then gently, you can close your eyes and just allow that space around you just to be, and let your attention come internally. Turn your attention inward. We know there's things around us in the room, in the house, in the space, wherever we are. But for these few minutes, let's practice looking inward. And so as the body settles and the focus begins to come inward, let's let the breath just bring it all together. So begin to take just some slow, deep, compassionate breaths. Just allowing yourself just to be as you breathe. And notice as that breath comes in, how expansive it feels. And then notice as the breath goes out, how relaxed you are. Even if there's things going on in your head, even if there are still things on your list to do today, for this moment, with this breath, just feel it. Feel the expansiveness. Feel the release and the relaxation. And again, we know there are things happening all around us, even outside the room, outside our home, in our world. But we are here and now. And let's just really honor that. We're on this journey looking at these wonderful precepts that have been given to us thousands of years ago, these ideas about our conduct. Every spiritual belief system always has these ideas that if you'll do these things, your relationships will be sweeter. Your path will be less rocky. Your decision-making process will be a little clearer. And I believe that people across the globe have these belief systems that teach them these things. But the beautiful thing about yoga and the language of Sanskrit is that it is universal. It doesn't belong to one group or to one time or to one geographic location. It is truly a representation of these vibrations that happen here, even where we are. In this location, in this time. And so these beautiful precepts, these ways of just being, of conducting ourselves, they're such good reminders. Because all of us want to have clearer decision-making and sweeter relationships and a less rocky path as we go throughout our day. And so the first precept that we sat with the other day was this idea of Ahimsa. Really approaching all of our actions, all of our thoughts with this idea of never causing harm, coming with kindness and compassion and goodwill. And so this second one, it may seem very obvious, just like the one of we don't harm people on purpose. But it goes deeper than just the surface level, just like Ahimsa did. And it is this teaching called SATYA, truth. All of us would say that we do our very best to tell the truth. We do our very best to be honest and authentic. But the idea of Satya, this beautiful Sanskrit word that again is just universal across faith systems, across languages, across geography. What it means is knowing the deep truth within us. So when I asked us to turn our focus inward, that's what I want us to look for today. The truth within our soul, within our spirit. And from that truth comes the practices of not telling white lies, of being authentic and transparent. But it starts from something internal. And so what I'd like us to do is just sit with this idea of our truth and just kind of explore, what is it? Do we really understand our own truth? And then see if we could find this balance between Ahimsa, not harming, and Satya, living our truth. But first, we've got to know what it is. So as you've turned your focus inward and it's almost like you're peering into your heart, or maybe you're peering at that mirror, that reflection of your soul. What do you see? Is it clear? Is it a little bit dusty or a little bit cloudy? Are you solid in understanding your truth? Not so much your belief system, not so much the facts that you know to be true, the knowledge that you have, it's deeper than that. Your truth, the core of who you are. It starts with how you see yourself. Can you feel the truth there? Can you see that you are good? That you were made in this beautiful, incredible image of this divine presence in the universe? Can you see that? Can you see the truth related to the talents and the gifts that we each have? It's so easy to look at our faults and to find the things that we can't do well. But can you see the truth of the gifts that you've been given? The gift of service, the gift of friendship, the gift of compassion. Can you see it? And I believe that right there in that mirror of our soul, sitting alongside these other truths within us, is believing in this truth that you have a purpose. You're not an accident. You're not made to just go through life and walk through the motions. You have a purpose. Even if you're not quite sure what it is, can you see the truth of understanding? You've got a purpose. There's something that this world needs that can only come from you. Don't think so big in a global sense of the 8 billion people of the world. Think about the world where you walk, where you inhabit every day. Do you believe that you have a purpose there? And so this idea of seeing the goodness inside of us, seeing this beautiful expression of this divine force that is represented within us, seeing our purpose and believing it's real. That is this wellspring that our truth comes from. And so I want us just to pause. The same way that you would pause standing in your bathroom, looking at that mirror, checking the clothes and the hair and the blemishes and all the things you do in front of the mirror. See the mirror of your soul. See the goodness, see the talents, see the gifts. See the divine reflection. See the purpose. And as you do, you'll begin to see and understand your truth. So let's just pause and breathe as you gently begin to peer inside and see you. our truth is not confusing. It's not cloudy. It's not meant to cause a furrowing of the brow or frustration in the mind. So as you sit with it, both today and in the coming days, just be open to discovering what it is. We don't get frustrated if the message is not clear in the moment that we want it. We just sit with it. And we keep looking at that reflection that's coming from our heart and from our soul. We believe the good is there. We believe the talents, the gifts, the purpose exist. And we believe in the beauty of this image that we were made in. And from that, I tell you, your truth will be made known. So then I want to take it another step. Because for some of us, we have been sitting with our truth and we have a really good sense of what it is. And we try to live it out every day. And others, we want to live it out. We want to know it. And we're going to keep sitting until it becomes just a little clearer. But what happens when we're trying to live out our truth? And maybe even share it just a little bit in our actions and our conversations. And not everyone's ready to hear it. Again, our truth was not made to create confusion. It wasn't made to create tension as you tighten your jaw or your fist and get frustrated by people who don't quite get it. People who don't value it and honor it. And especially people who don't agree with it. So what do? Do we hide our truth, keep it tucked inside, and just make it for us? I don't think so. And so I've really been sitting in the last couple of days as I thought about this idea of truth, knowing what was coming today, and thought, where do we find this balance between sharing our truth, living it out, and not forgetting about Ahimsa, that first teaching that tells us not to harm, to be kind and gracious, and think about the needs of others. And so as you are seated or laying down right where you are, I would encourage you just to turn your two palms up. Maybe they're on your lap, maybe they're laying on the ground next to you. And I'd like you to imagine that in one of those palms is your Ahimsa, your commitment to non-harming, to living out a life that's gentle and kind. And then in the other hand is your truth, Satya, cultivating the understanding of it, living it out, speaking up, advocating. How do we live with both? And then I thought, if each hand represents one, notice what's in the middle of the two. Our heart. Our heart serves as the bridge between knowing and living our truth and being kind and gracious and practicing Ahimsa. It's like the truth is made known. The heart makes sure that how we express it really does keep us in line with Ahimsa. The heart is the bridge. Our truth does not exist in isolation. These two go so intimately together. And I can tell you from personal experience, it's hard to remember that. We want our truth to be known. We want to stand up for things that we know are right. We want to speak out when we know that there's wrong action being done. But our heart is what allows us to do it in a way that keeps us from harming, And so just let your hands come to rest. And just think to yourself, where in my life does my truth need to be made known just a little bit more? Where do I need to feel a little more confident in speaking up, in advocating, in living my life boldly and courageously? And how can I do it without harming? And so let's keep our focus at heart center, the place that joins those two together. The same heart that showed us our truth is the heart that will allow us to speak it in a way that we can be heard without harm. So let's just sit for just the next couple minutes in quiet and just be willing and open to ask the question of where in my life do I need to begin to live out my truth just a little more boldly, a little more courageously, and to do it without harm, being gracious and kind and loving and truthful. Notice your breath. Notice the physical sensations throughout your body as you sit and reflect. And then if it feels right, I would just encourage you to turn those two palms up one more time. Our left hand is associated with our hand to receive, and our right hand is associated with our giving. It has to do with masculine and feminine energy, but just know that the left hand is the receiving hand and the right hand is the extending hand. So in our left hand, let's just be open to this idea of receiving our truth, sitting with it, owning it, speaking it. And as we do, our right hand represents how we extend that out back into the world. Through Ahimsa, through non-harming, gracious, kind behavior. And then if it feels comfortable, bring those two palms together. Feel the connection between the two, the hands of prayer. Again, something I think we would find across the globe, from belief system to country to time periods. These two hands together, it passes all barriers, all borders. And it represents the union right here. My truth and the way that I share it in a non-harming, kind, and gracious way. And then notice where those hands are, right there at heart center. Allowing my heart to keep the two united. And so I wish for each of us courage. Courage to sit with our truth first, to know it, to own it, to seek it, and courage to speak it and live it. Let the world feel your truth by your presence and by the loving and gracious way in which you live it out and share it. Namaste.